Hey everybody, I want to welcome you back to this midweek motivation known as Time Out. My name is JSFequiere, and at this point, we are fresh off of this Thanksgiving holiday. And I'm sure that I can speak for a lot of people when I say that it was a different kind of experience. You know, because of COVID and all the precautions and restrictions that are in place, we're doing this to try to be safe, but what we're finding is that a lot of our family traditions were impacted by this. And it's left a lot of people feeling frustrated and disappointed. And so my wife and I, we were feeling the same pains because our families normally come together in large quantities. My family and her family are literally 5 to 10 minutes from us. So our Thanksgiving normally consists of us packing up the kids, and everyone's packing several side dishes and going to different locations and hosting a big potluck. And it's just memorable times for us. We love spending time with our family. But because of COVID, we decided that it was either going to be limited capacity or we probably weren't going to go out as much. And so it impacted even us. And so my wife and I, we had to sit down and say, how can we make the most out of this situation? You know, not just for ourselves, but for the kids too. They're used to seeing all their cousins and playing and hanging out. And so this was going to be different for them as well. And so what we decided to do to kind of keep us sane is that we decided that we were going to change our perspective, challenge our perspective. You know, what a lot of people found themselves doing is focusing on dwelling on all the things that they normally do around this time of the year that they can't do right now. And it's putting people into depression. I've been reading articles and how it's been impacting people. And so what we decided to do is, instead of focusing on the things that we can't do now, that we could before, we decided to flip it and focus on the things that we can do now that we couldn't before. You see, what COVID has done is it's kind of grounded us. We're on punishment. Like, we've been grounded. We've been in the house a lot more than usual. And this gives us time to really spend time with our families, with the kids. And so what we decided, we're going to host our very first Thanksgiving, just us in the house, us and the kids. And what we were going to do is we were going to come together and make our first turkey. You see, when we do our typical routines where we do our big potlucks, everyone brings a number of sides, and either one of our moms on both sides, they handle the meat, whether it's the turkey, the ham, whatever it is. And so we've never done a turkey before, but we said, you know what, this will be a fun opportunity and activity for us as a family to come together and do our first turkey, to take our minds off of everything that's going on. And so that was something that we could do now that we didn't necessarily ever do or think about doing before. And so here comes the research, here comes what do we buy, how do we defrost, YouTube, all these different things. And we came together, and we had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun because we were willing to challenge our perspective and try something new, not focusing on the things we couldn't do, but to focus on the things that we can do. And this applies to more than just a meal. It applies to more than just Thanksgiving. Yes, holidays are upon us now. And at this point, you know, the turning around of things is not necessarily that close in sight. There's still the vaccine and all these things that's being worked on, but we are in this time that they're calling the new norm. And so we don't know when things are going to return to how they were before, how long it would take. And so does that mean that all the things we set out to do in 2020, because we can't do it the way we planned on doing it, because we can't do it that way, does that mean we do nothing at all? Or do we challenge ourselves to look at things from a different perspective and try to move forward? And that right there is the difference between many people who are giving up on their dreams or goals because they can't do it the way they thought they were going to do it, and others who decided to shift some things around and move forward in spite of. And so people right now are actually still accomplishing their dreams and their goals in the middle of this pandemic. I'm seeing businesses that's being birthed. I'm seeing people get back in school now that they have a little bit more time on their hands. I'm seeing people working on their relationship to take it to the next level. People are doing things in 2020 in spite of this pandemic. And even though they can't do it the way they could before, because they're trying something new and challenging their perspective, they're getting it done in a way they never thought they could. And so that's my challenge to you today is, what is it that you can't do right now and that you could before? But then what is it that you can do now that you couldn't before? I was just speaking on the phone to a loved one, and this person right now is in the middle of trying to find a job. As we know what's happened with jobs, and there's been layoffs, and so people are now looking for work. And so this person I was talking to that's close to me, they called me on the phone, and they were frustrated and a little bit scared. I can tell by the sound of their voice. And they're like, Josh, I can't find nothing. And and this was probably in the realm that they've been working in. And I can't find nothing. I can't see anything. Right now, the only jobs I'm finding is sales jobs. I never did sales before. And all of them are 100% commission based. And so I'm, and I'll say, okay, let's talk through this. Let's see if there's a different way to look at this. And so, in conversation with that individual, we say, okay, well, why don't you give it a try? Well, I never did sales before. I don't know. This is not where I'm good. This is not where I'm comfortable. And so, in talking to the individual, I'll say, well, let's look at it this way. Why don't you give it a try until something else comes up in that particular area you're looking at for? Why don't you just give it a try? Because the alternative to not doing this is to be looking for work with no income. And it's like, okay, that's true, but it's 100% commission based. And that means there's a possibility that I may not make anything. And then I had to challenge that perspective. I said, or there's also the possibility that there's no limit to what you can make, just because it's commission based only. You never know. I know you never did sales before like this, and I know it's a little nerve-wracking to know that there's weeks you can make money and there's weeks you probably may not make anything. But think about it this way. You don't know unless you try. As long as you stay on this side of fear, I always say there's two sides of fear. There's this side here where you sit and you're looking at what you want, but you're afraid because of what's in front of you is scary. Or there's people who move forward in spite of fear and get to the other side and find out that it wasn't as bad and they wish they did it sooner. And so I said, what if you just give it a try? You never know. Some people have hidden talents that they don't even know about unless they do something to stir it up. You never know what's inside of you, but there's benefits to being willing to try something new. Your best life can be on the other side of a new perspective, of a new way of doing things, of a new way of looking at things. So we're challenged right now with this pandemic. We cannot look at things the way we've always looked at things. So what does that mean? Does that mean we stop and give up? Or do we challenge ourselves to look at it from a different perspective? There's still opportunities out there. People are still making their dreams happen just because they're willing to do something new. Look at things from a new perspective. And today, that's my challenge for you. Stop looking and focusing on the things that you can't do right now that you could before. Start focusing on the things that you can do now that you couldn't before. Because we are in new times. This is new norms. There's new ways of doing things. We just got to figure it out how. We just got to figure out how to do it. And so that's my challenge to you. For us, it was we made our first turkey. I think this is something we're going to do moving forward. We're still going to get together with family when it's safe and time permits. But I think we're still going to have a moment during Thanksgiving week where we're going to do our own turkey as a family. And something new was birthed out of a time of restrictions and times of just not being able to do all the things you normally can do just because we was willing to try something new. So we're going to apply this not just to making food. We're going to apply this to going after our dreams. And I challenge you to do the same as well. All right. So my name is JSFequiere. Think about the power of a renewed mind. Renew your mind. The Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You have to renew your mind. Otherwise, you're going to see things the way everyone else do. Or you can be like those who have a renewed mind and say, I'm going to look at things differently and I'm going to try things differently. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But at least I know. So God bless you. Have that renewed mind, and I'll see you next week's Time Out.